I'm Gadi Schwartz in Paris, in France, in the Olympics. Well, actually not in the Olympics. I'm covering the Olympics. But this is episode 88 of the Talking Grammar Podcast.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeff Grammer with the Albuquerque Journal. And as you just heard, this is episode 88 of the Talking Grammar Podcast. This week's guest is it's a fun one. He's an old friend of mine, Gadi Schwartz. He is from Albuquerque. He graduated from Cibola High School. He graduated from New Mexico State University, worked for about a decade at KOB-TV, so a familiar face to a lot of people here in New Mexico. And he's now a national correspondent for NBC News. He's hosted his own shows with NBC. Definitely a fast riser, and near the top of the chain now as a reporter and correspondent for NBC News. He is now working his 5th Olympic Games. He's in Paris right now. As I record this right now on Monday evening, he and I spoke earlier today. Recorded a conversation from Paris for him, and just having fun. What he's doing for NBC is on loan, is as he describes it, to NBC Sports during the games, and just living the life, man. He's got 2 young ones and a wife back at home in Los Angeles, and people might remember his wife too, Kim Tobin. She too worked at KOB-TV, though I just found out during this conversation for the first time that they didn't ever work together at KOB-TV. He was already in Los Angeles working and would watch the noon KOB newscast to kind of stay up to date with what's going on in Albuquerque. Again, he's from here, and he had worked at KOB for a decade, and kind of got to see this new anchor that he says he just fell in love with. And he and Kim Tobin are now proud parents of 2 little ones in Los Angeles. And he, as Gadi says in this interview that I think you'll enjoy, by the way, He's got dad duty times a million when he gets home, so he tries to hide the screen on his phone when he's FaceTiming back home, and so she doesn't see the moonlight reflecting off these historic and beautiful Paris buildings that right in the hub of where it's all happening, at where NBC's hub is. So this conversation does kind of go into some of that. I also pulled, I borrowed from Hot Ones and Sean Evans, the Hot Wings eating YouTube show, where he does explain that gram, and he takes some pictures off Instagram. I do some of that with Gadi because he's told so many good stories. He's been fortunate enough to meet some famous people. We talk about some of that stuff. I apologize in advance to the audio listeners, the people who are just on Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, Apple, wherever you may be listening to this podcast. I do apologize in advance. Some of this stuff won't be as impactful when you can't see the image that I'm showing him and asking him to react to. But I think it is explained within the audio and within the interview. So hopefully you will still enjoy that. And so here we go. Hope you have some fun catching up with a familiar face to many of us and a good friend of mine for a couple decades now. A New Mexico State journalism graduate, Gadi Schwartz of NBC News from Paris, covering the Olympics. Gadi Schwartz, you are in Paris. I am sitting in my house in Albuquerque, which isn't nearly as exciting as Paris. But tell me, first of all, how's it going, man? How's Paris been for you? You've been there about a week now, right?
Yeah, we've been here a week, and we've been having adventures left and right. And I mean, the view is not too. I don't even want to share the view.
I've seen you share the view, and it's not very nice.
Because you're gonna hate me.
That is, yeah. I mean, I got some trees. Is all I can see out my window right now. But
yeah, so we're camped out at the Musée d'Homme, which is an actual museum, and NBC. This is our workstation. So the entire museum is NBC. The set's down there. The Today Show is below us. NBC Sports Primetime is down there, and then that's the shot of the Eiffel Tower that you see behind all the different broadcasts. So not too shabby of a view. It's like definitely pinch myself for being here.
Is that is that where you were when you were watching the opening ceremonies and that light show and everything?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we were up here, and at first I was like, well, I'm going to be stuck inside because we were watching all the feeds and the returns and everything. and I was pretty bummed. But I mean, it's such a long stretch along the Seine. You can see the Seine snaking its way through here, and then it started raining, and then I was like, "Yeah, this is the best seat in the house. I'm not getting rained on, and we get to watch the entire fire or the entire light display from the Eiffel Tower, which just turned it into like this massive, I don't know, like dance party rave. It was incredible."
Well, and for those that don't know, I mean, I've obviously set this up in the intro to the podcast here, but for those that don't know, the reason I'm reaching out to you and finally have you on the podcast is you are not only a fellow former New Mexico State Aggie, and I am an Aggie covering the Lobos up in Albuquerque, so I get it quite a bit, but you are also an Albuquerque boy and a New Mexico boy, and you are a New Mexico kid
Yep.
doing good big things in Paris at the Olympics. Talk about just real quick, brief bio, if you would, I guess, where you're from and where you went to high school and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I went to Cibola High School over on the west side. Went to Taylor Middle School, Sierra Vista Elementary School, then went down to New Mexico State with you, and then worked at KOB for a while. Then headed over to California and worked at KNBC, which is NBC uh, affiliate in Los Angeles. Then jumped to the network, and then have been at the network now for I don't know about like 8, 9 years.
What is I guess what is the title? Is it reporter correspondent? What's your title?
Uh, Definitely. I hope I'm a correspondent for the rest of my life. But they also gave me a show recently, and I'm super stoked about that. So on NBC News now, which is our streaming 24-hour like news coverage, we're constantly updating everything that's going on around the world. They gave me an entire hour, and it's a really cool show. The idea is, we've got amazing coverage coming out of New York and Washington and all the places of power, but we don't really have a perspective from the West Coast and the West looking east. So that's kind of the premise behind my show. And it's at 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern. So that would be 6 o'clock New Mexico time.
Look at you. You can still do the math.
I know.
A New
I
Mexico State
know.
guy, you can still do the math.
Yeah, right now it is 5 o'clock our time, and it is what, like 8 o'clock
Nine.
or 9 o'clock your time?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Um, Out in LA, you are also it kills me, man, when I see some of the stuff you're getting to work on. It's obviously the big huge stories of the day. You get sent to everywhere. You get sent to Paris. This is your third Summer Olympics, and
Yep, third Summer Olympics.
have you done winter?
Yeah, we did Pyeongchang, then did Rio in Brazil, and now we're in Paris. And I totally used my Albuquerque cred, my Burke cred. With I don't know if you were able to see the opening ceremony at the end. The crown jewel, obviously, is a balloon. So I guarantee there were a lot of people in New Mexico being like, "Yeah, yeah, that's a balloon." And then when you know, all the headlines around the world have been calling it a hot air balloon, and we know better. We know that's a gas balloon. So we actually went up in a balloon here, and they were telling me the history of ballooning and all these things. And I was respectfully like nodding my head, and then he's like, "Have you ever?" And I looked at him and I said, "I'm from Albuquerque." And he's like, "Oh, Albuquerque, the balloon fiesta!" And he went off, and we both went like, and if you go ballooning, you hear the tale. It's part of the celebration and part of the honoring the tradition. I think the first time you go up in a balloon in Albuquerque in New Mexico, and I think a lot of other places, like you hear the story of the first humans that took flight, and they took flight in France. And that whole story is alive here in Paris. So we're going to be telling that in this epic adventure that we're going on, I think, on Wednesday. So it should be a lot of fun.
Wednesday on the like the primetime broadcast or
Wednesday on the Olympic zone for sure,
Olympic
on my show for sure, and then I'm we're trying to figure out where else it slots.
they can use it obviously throughout the games. A story
Yeah.
like that is that's a
Yeah.
lot of what you do, right? It's sort of, I mean, obviously while they're competing, but some of these athlete features and profiles a little bit evergreen, right? They're more feature based as opposed
Mhm.
to a specific competition or game or whatever. So they're a little bit evergreen during the games, right?
Right. So I come in when I come in. I come in with Sports Desk, which is part of NBC Sports. I usually am with NBC News, and it's a little, like inside. Uh, it's a little complicated, but right now I'm on loan from NBC News to go to NBC Sports, and that gives me the ability to tell like all these incredible stories about culture here in Paris, as well as report in like the mix zones. And so basically, I like since I landed, I've been doing all kinds of different stories on the culture as well as Olympic athletes. The first story I think I did was, we went to check out the skateboarders and teams USA. We saw Nija, Houston, Jagger Eaton. We saw Chris Jocelyn like stomping it. We just randomly. I had a board with me because I used to try and fall a lot in Albuquerque, and I was a horrible skater. But I was like, oh well, we could skate around, and the producer was like, yeah, we'll do this cool stand up, and so we were looking for like the easiest skate park around, and we find this one just down the way, and we go over there, and I'm about to shoot this very cringy stand up. And then Niger shows up, and it is on from there, and everybody's just going crazy. We went and checked out the venue, saw Mariah, tried not to fanboy too hard, but told Mariah hi, and she was like hi, and I was like, I'm from Albuquerque, like this is way different than the Arroyos, right? And she's like, yeah. Then we just started chatting it up, and
Does the
so
New
it's
Mexico accent start coming out a little bit?
a little bit.
You guys drop a couple E.
Yeah, Arroyo is like I think when you say Arroyo, you have to say it with an accent. Yeah, it was so good to see her, and it's just so we did skateboarding. Then I tried out some fencing. That was a lot of fun. Got killed by like a 15-year-old. We're doing the history of like dueling. We're doing the balloon history, and the first human flights. We are, interestingly enough, the next Olympics. This is the last time equestrian is going to be a part of the pentathlon. And so they are subbing out the equestrian part of pentathlon with like this obstacle course, a la American Ninja Warrior. So on, I think tomorrow I'm going to do parkour around the city with like one of the godfathers of parkour. We went and chatted with the wrestling team. I mean, Penn State, like they are incredible. So much. I mean, like if 135 pounds, like Stebola wrestling Gadi could have seen me talking to like these absolute legends, I would have died. It was awesome. So we got to hang out with the wrestlers, and then I think there's a couple other ones, some of the histories of the venues, but there's so much stuff. And then in just a little bit, I'm going to go to the fencing mix zone, and then we're going to see if we can talk to some of the athletes after they're done.
Now, you said you tried fencing. If I remember correctly, I guess it would have been 8 years ago now. I did a story on you in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
I remember correctly, you did some fencing there?
Oh yeah, the Hurley sisters. So the Hurley sisters taught me how to fence, and it did not stick. I lost everything, and so we wanted like it's crazy about the most wild thing about Paris is that the venues and the place are almost characters in and of themselves. They're almost like these athletes that you just learn everything you can about. And so when we started looking into fencing, like so much of fencing started here in Paris, like en garde, like all, I mean, the point system, the official language of fencing is from Paris. And so much of that happened during the reigns of there are a lot of King Louis, right? And so during the reigns of at least three King Louis, fencing became such a rage that people in the streets of Paris were just like, I mean, I think it was like up to 4,000 men were dying in duels a year in Paris because of fencing. So they outlawed fencing. The last official duel here with swords was in like 1967, involving like the mayor of Marseille. So like it's got this really rich history. So I was like, yeah, I've got
1967.
1967 was the last
Not too
duel.
long ago.
Yeah, it's on video. If you Google it, like you can find video of these two dudes going at it with some swords. And like, fortunately, they just barely nicked each other, or one of them nicked the other one, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, well, your honor is restored," or however it works. Yeah.
All right. You while you're there and while you're humble bragging the view and all this wonderful yeah, just one more time, and all these cool stories you're telling. You do have someone back home that you I know miss, but you're also going to owe some making up time to all this fun you're having. I know how it goes when I get to
Oh yeah.
travel. I love getting to travel for my work, but when you get home, you got to take over a little bit. Tell people a little bit about what you got home waiting for you.
Yeah, so we've got two little ones now, Kira and Rio, and Kira is 3 and Rio is 9 months, and they are like little tornadoes. They are so cute, but they are a lot of work. And so, I mean, look, it's an impossible situation right now. Kimmy, my wife, you are a saint, and I love you so much, and I'm sorry for smiling so much. And it's just very hard because
Because you're
I'm
thinking of
walking
them.
home. Yeah, I'm walking home not enjoying Paris at all or any of this history. And then she's like, Kira, or like Rio did this, or, like there's this huge, and then I'm like, I'm being sympathetic, but I'm also trying to cover the camera because like it's just, midnight in Paris and the sun, or I mean, and then the moon is like glistening off of these ancient buildings. So yeah, it's, when I get home, like I am on, dad duty times a trillion. She is
I,
a saint.
and people here in Albuquerque will know who Kim is.
Yeah, Kimmy Tobin. Yep, she's the coolest one in our family, really. But yeah, so
How
she's
long was
she's
she
at
here?
home
She
right.
was at KOB
Yeah, she was at. Yeah, I think she was there 3 years.
about 3 years.
3 years at KOB. Yep, saw her on. Like I had just moved to Los Angeles, and would still watch the noon show when I was working out in LA before I went in for my shift, and then like saw her on KOB and like totally fell in love, and it was just. Yeah, I just watched her show nonstop. I was like a fan, and then
You two
hit
never
her.
crossed paths at KOB?
We never crossed paths other
I
than
never
just
knew
me
that.
watching obsessively her show because I could see her freckles. Like, I know, this is weird. I don't want to make it weird, but yeah, I just fell in love because I saw her on KOB.
The freckles on KOB
Yep.
brought two lovebirds together. I love it.
Oh
Um,
man.
I'm going to go back one more step, and then I'm going to drop some pictures and have you comment on them. But one more step
Uh
is you and I know each other. I'm older than you. We weren't while we were at New Mexico State. I think we might have crossed paths just a little bit, but you were in the broadcast side. I was in the print side.
The
Um,
roundup.
the
Yep.
roundup. And we really got to know each other though working in Santa Fe. When I was a crime
Mm.
reporter at the Santa Fe New Mexican, and you were the one man bureau of KOB-TV in Santa Fe, and we had some good times, man. That there was, I'm telling you, covering crime in northern New Mexico
Mhm.
is an interesting beat, and that's when you and I kind of got to know each other a little bit. That was some fun time in that courthouse.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun time in that courthouse. And I keep seeing like the new courthouse, and I'm like, wait a
Yeah,
minute, that wasn't around when we were there. I see it like all the Baldwin trial and the Rust trial.
yeah.
They've got. I mean, it looks completely. I need to go back to Santa Fe and just take out a look at all of our old haunts because it looks very different these
It
days.
looks great and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure if I was there, I'd be like, "Oh, this is really cool. I like it." But there's
But
almost a
back
piece
in
of me.
our day,
I don't want to
yeah,
say anger, but like I don't like it, man.
yeah,
I want it to be like
yeah.
Mike Vihill's courtroom where you get to hang out on the
Yep,
couch and
Judge
stuff a
V.
little bit.
Hill. I
And
miss those Judge V. Hill days.
Judge Vihill's a big Lobo basketball fan, by the way. So
Nice.
he, uh, Judge Vihill was great. Anyway, they were all great. That is where we got to kind of know each other a little bit, and that's gonna. I'm now gonna convert into dropping some photos.
Oh, let's see.
I'm a big fan of Hot Ones on YouTube. For those that
Oh yeah.
don't know,
Oh,
and Sean Evans is his name. Great interviewer, and he does something every now and then called Explain That Gram. I was
mm-hmm.
doing a deep dive on your Instagram of some photos. Now, what I'm
Oh.
going to show you, I got 5 items I'm going to show you. 3 of them are pictures from your Instagram. One is actually a video from your Instagram. Then the wild card, and I'm going to start off with that wild card, is actually a picture of mine.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Those pants are coming back now. apparently. Oh, whoa. Yeah, that was my photographer.
Yeah,
That was my trusty photographer. Holy
that's
smokes.
at
I
the
rigged that
Roundhouse.
entire thing. Yep, that's at the Roundhouse. And I would we built that little, whoa, look at that TV. That's like not even a flat. Holy smokes.
Yep, that's got the
Yeah.
whole tube in it and everything. And that is
Wow.
old school. That is one of those carts they used to like cart in and out of the elementary
Yep.
schools, like when it was
Yep.
movie day or
Exactly.
the teacher wanted to get
Exactly.
over last night's drinking or something and like sleep
Yep.
a little bit and let the kids watch a video. They'd cart those in, and it'd be a big TV on the top, not a
Yep.
camera on the top,
Yeah.
but that's
They're
what
like,
you
here,
had to set up too.
watch some Bill Nye and you guys will be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what
Uh,
you had. That was you are now looking at the Santa Fe Bureau of KOB circa. Oh man, what was
mhm.
how long ago was this? This was a while back now.
Yeah, that probably would have been like 2008, 2007,
Yeah,
2008. Yeah.
somewhere
Yeah,
in
because
that
I
range.
was like when I was up there, I was Stuart Dyson, like legend. I was Stuart Dyson's photographer, and then he would leave, and then I would do my own stuff. But then I didn't have anybody, so I just had to rig up that thing.
That's awesome. And again, you guys at the Roundhouse had a little place. I know the New Mexican when I was
Yep.
there, the Journal as well, where I'm at now. They have there's sort of a little media room there where everybody gets to
Hmm.
work and all that. But you just if I'm guessing, I see the extension cord there. If I'm
Yeah,
guessing, you're probably only 15, 20 feet outside of that door.
exactly. And
And
that was such a cool office because
you
I
can
mean,
just
like,
turn it to get a
what
different
one of the
background, right?
Yep, exactly. I would just twist it around. So if it was a roundhouse story, you'd see the roundhouse like pillars. If it was like I don't know, we were up in the
Anything else?
mountains somewhere, I
Yeah.
would just switch it to the bushes. But the roundhouse was such a great place to work, just because like there are incredible galleries throughout Santa Fe, but I'm convinced that the roundhouse had some of the best art, and you could just walk around and take everything in. It was very cool.
That's very cool. I'm gonna drop in picture number two now. Let's try this one here. This is now from your Instagram.
Wait, who's that guy?
Tell me about that, man.
Yeah.
Like some of the stories you get to do, obviously, and you don't get to always pick them. So I'm sure you would have volunteered to do this one, but like some of the cool stories you get to do as a reporter in general. But like you're in a pretty cool spot. Tell us about this one.
Yeah, and Ed Sheeran. I wish I remembered what he taught me how to play, but all I remember is the story that we were doing, and it was I think he had just come out with a documentary. It was the first time I had ever seen a song be created like in front of me, and his process was so cool. He described basically like he'd have the song dun, 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 dun. So he's playing it and he's like building this sound, and then he's filling in like the sound has this shape. It's hard to describe, but the sound has this incredible shape that he's building, and you can hear it with your ear. And then he starts like putting words in to fill that sound, and you're like, no, that doesn't work. No, that doesn't work. No, that doesn't work. And then finally, like it clicks, and if you think da, 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 you should go and love yourself, but I don't think it was love yourself.
Right.
But like when all those words filled in that sound, it was just this magic moment. And so he described that to us, and I think we did that for the Today Show. But I mean, just being in the presence of absolute genius. He's such a cool guy.
How long have you played guitar?
Uh, I think that interview was like 30 minutes, so 30 minutes.
Is that really your first time and only time?
That was my first time. Yeah, I was like, dude, I don't know how to play guitar, but like, look, I have this one, there's one right here, and you got one, and I would be remiss. Like, I'm not gonna ask you for your signature, but can you just give me like a couple chords? So he gave me some chords, and they've been lost to my brain. So
All right. That is obviously pretty cool. Oh, that's not the one I want to
don't,
do just yet.
yeah, don't mind the people just taking pictures from this. Like, this is not my
Amazing,
office. This is
amazing
just a
venue.
yeah, this is not that my office. This is just a communal like spot where everybody comes to take pictures. But I was trying to flex the Olympics over here. So no, you're good.
Yeah, I mean, it's another person from the United States that was taking a picture there that came over.
Yeah, so it's all kinds of NBC sports people. So this is what it looks like. So actually, it looks like they're doing some cool performance right now. And then on the backside, way over there, it looks like there's some volleyball going on. But then over here, this is like the museum. This is like the commissary. So this is where everybody eats, and then this is where everybody comes and
Get
take
their pictures
pictures.
and
Yeah,
do their Talking Grammar podcast interviews.
exactly.
All right, this is a sports centric podcast. I'm dropping this one in because of who you're with here.
Yeah, that's the G right there.
He's big time,
That's
man. He is so good at what
that's
he does.
I know. That's Mike Tirico. He is the man. Mike Tirico, and that was in Pyeongchang. I mean, yeah, in South Korea. He's such an awesome guy. Like he's just incredible. Like all the sports legends are. I mean, hanging out with Jimmy Roberts this morning, and he's like they could not be nicer. So I still get a little bit nervous around some of them, but yeah, well, Mike Tirico is a man.
He yeah, obviously in sports, like I think it sometimes sounds like, I don't want to say backhanded or just maybe not powerful enough, but like his power comes from the fact that sometimes you forget he's there, and that is so good
Yep,
when he's hosting with a former quarterback and a singer, and you know that the show's just going on and rolling as well as it does. It's because he's the guy kind of quarterbacking everything.
totally.
And, sometimes
Yep,
you forget he's there, but it takes some skill to do what he does.
absolutely.
This one is a very cool one, and a little bit of nostalgia for people of a certain age. And tell us about this one when it pops up on your screen there.
Oh my gosh, that's one of the great. Like that will be like first in the highlight reel of my life. Like Sandlot, are you kidding? So I got to play baseball with the guys from the Sandlot. It was insane. That was like honestly, I don't know how I'll ever top that story. Um, yeah, the next thing you know, like we're doing the interview and we set it up at a baseball field, and I told the producers, I was like, can we just make sure that we've got like some balls and like a bat just in case, and this was the first time they had seen each other since I don't know, it was years and years. It was the first big reunion as they were adults, and like we all just started playing, and it was like I don't even know how to describe it, but that was epic.
I mean, obviously there are taglines that come from that, and all the kind of people again of a certain age grew up watching that, but it's not just of that certain age. You can now show it
Yeah.
to kids, and it still resonates. It's still a great movie. The Sandlot is one of the best sports movies in my mind. I don't know how deep you need to go into the list, but it's probably maybe not my favorite. But man, I'm not lying. It is
Oh,
the best.
it was my favorite when I was growing up.
Was it?
Yeah, for years.
All right. So now all this nice Gadi Schwartz content and what a nice guy he is and all this wonderful stuff. I want people to know the real Gadi
Oh.
Schwartz. I'm going to first send you a screenshot. This is a video, and we'll see if the video works, but the screenshot that I took is going to be enough. And I'm going to start with the screenshot, then I'm going to drop a video. The video,
Okay.
it is from your Instagram. So this is
Okay.
incriminating. You did it.
What is going to be
Um,
on here?
this is a while back, and I think you might have had some stuff on Twitter back when it was still called Twitter. That was better. But anyway, here's the screenshot, and I'm going to send the video and see if the video works. There was no sound on this video, just so you know, on the Instagram.
Okay.
But I'm going to play the video over this, and
All
we'll see
right.
if the one works for you. And I want people to know the true Gadi Schwartz.
I know exactly what this one is. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was during the days of The Office, and the vending machine guy was there, and it was open, and Tom Joles just left his stuff out. Legendary Tom Joles, just trusting everybody in the newsroom. So I scooped up all of his stuff, and I ran to the vending machine. I put it all in the vending machine, and he had to buy his stuff back, his Green Bay Packers wallet. It was awesome. I think I put like the
Glasses,
audio
if
that
I
I put.
remember.
And his glasses, that's right, his glasses. And he tried to get me back. We had these prank wars at KOB that were just ridiculous. And I think um, they finally culminated in, like, I would ride my bike I still ride my bike to work. I ride a bike or a skateboard to work. It's the best. But I would ride my bike to work. And one day I got to KOB, and they had put my bike upside down on the top of the roof. And I had to like rig up some way to get up there because there were no ladders or anything. And I had to get my bike down. But the prank wars there were insane. Actually, one of the best pranks that I did at KOB, it wasn't really a prank. Like sometimes we'd get a little bit terse with each other. And I was working with Stuart Dyson up in Santa Fe, and I'd mess with him from time to time, but he was just being like, he was very surly one day. So I changed his phone, his Nokia, like, I don't know, 6180 or whatever, to Spanish. And I was like, dude, and he's like, whoa, what's going on? And I was like, I'm not changing it back until you're like nice to me. And like, you stop, yelling at me in front of John Arthur Smith. Was it John Arthur Smith? Wait.
Because you're at the roundhouse, so it could have been any.
Yeah, we were at the roundhouse. What was his name? The chairman of the Senate Finance Committee. I think it was John Arthur Smith. Yeah. We'll have to check. But the chair, he was a jerk, in front of the chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, and I was like, oh, change your phone. And so, like the whole entire day, he was just yelling at me. And then finally, he was like, okay, change the phone back. So we had to keep things interesting at work.
Was he nice after that?
Yeah. Yeah, for the rest of that shift, which was like another 5 minutes. Yeah, see, exactly.
Coworkers, I meant to ask you when I showed you the Tarico thing. I do want to ask you about some of your coworkers right now. What is it like to have, Snoop as a coworker? I don't imagine you actually see him very often. Maybe you do. I don't know. But like, it's so cool some of the people that NBC has brought along.
Totally, and I'm like, I freak out about it. Like we were walking in with Snoop yesterday, and I was like, oh, do I say hi? But he's got these huge bodyguards, like they're so big, and so he was.
And he's tall.
And
yeah.
And then he's very tall. He's crazy tall. So I gave him the this from Burke,
Yeah.
Like, and then he's like, and then that was it. So I wish
that was your moment,
but I was too scared.
That was your moment with Snoop.
And then Kelly Clarkson's here, and she is a doll. And we actually one time for the Today Show, Kelly Clarkson and I played bowling. We bowled against, I think it was Shelton. It was a voice piece. We bowled against Shelton and I think Adam Levine, and we like totally smoked them. So that was awesome. She's amazing. And then like Lester Holt, we work with each other all the time, and he is just the coolest guy. And when it comes to LA, like we have these ping pong tournaments from time to time, and he is like an amazing ping pong player. Like kicks my butt every single time. He's awesome.
You talk a little trash to him when you're doing it, though. Anyway, even though he's going to win.
I should. Maybe I can get inside of his head, but like I'm too busy trying to return his serve. Like he's got a crazy wingspan. He's probably like 6'3" or 6'4". He's like, he can get all over that ping pong table. Speaking of which, ping pong, I haven't gone yet, but ping pong is like one of the Olympic sports. Look, like this sounds horrible to say, but like there's something about this is, I hope this doesn't get clipped out and misused, but like, man, have you ever like watched Olympic sports and you're like, I could probably do that. I could do that. I could do that. Okay. I do that to a lot of sports, but the only one that just blows I can't even compute how humans are able to move that fast is ping pong. And if you see ping pong in person when you're up close at the Olympic level, it is like some, extraterrestrial, like physics calculation. It is so wild to see. And then you see this ball spinning and they're doing these things. Like it is next level. That's probably my favorite thing to see in person. That's unexpected.
Do you have much off time where you get to do a lot of your own, on your day off? You actually go to another Olympic event kind of thing?
Well, we're always on standby because we don't know exactly what's going to happen. We don't know who's going to medal. We don't know which stories develop. So we're always on standby, but we're just kind of bouncing around from venue to venue. So just a little while ago, I was like, well, I don't want to sit in here. Like I want to just go see stuff. Went outside and like, there's a mime. Like I saw a mime in the wild. Like there was a guy in the middle of traffic and I thought he was trying to fight a car. And then he turns around and like this crowd is going crazy because all these people are waiting to get into these venues. So they're sitting there in the hot sun for like hours and hours and hours. And he turns around and he's got like a white painted face, and then he just starts messing with everybody. It was so cool. So like it's those kind of weird little cultural things that we're trying to infuse into a lot of our coverage because
Yeah.
it's just everywhere, and it's part like so it's cool because you get to experience it, but it's also the job because you kind of have to document it. It's great.
Gotti, this has been cool, man. If you see any New Mexico state flags, you got to make sure to take a picture because
Yes.
it is a growing trend. I'm telling you, man. I noticed it about a year or so ago at like Lobo events. It makes sense at a Lobo event or something or a New Mexico State event, and people like holding up their New Mexico State flag. But then I start watching NFL games and I'm seeing random New Mexico State flags.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a cool flag, Zia Pueblo, the Zia symbol. So if you
Totally.
see a New Mexico flag at the Olympics, you've got to take a picture and send it to me.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh, I totally will. Yeah. If you see and if you see any,
on TV,
screenshot it
yeah, yeah.
for me. I'll try to go hunt them down in the streets of Paris because
I'm telling you,
that
man.
is New Mexican in Paris. It's just like that with that best kind of worlds colliding.
New Mexico is it's its own place, man. I love it here.
Yeah.
It may not be for everybody, but man, for the ones who it's for,
No,
it's a great place.
I mean, if I could have just taken, like, I wish I could have recorded the expression of just like deep respect when I said to that balloonist, that like balloon historian, like, I'm from Albuquerque. And he was like,
Instant
like, you
cred.
get all of this. Yeah. And then we were just brothers. We were balloon brothers. It was fantastic. It was so great.
That's awesome, man. This is fun. How often do you get back to New Mexico? You still have family here in Albuquerque?
Yep, my dad, my mom, and my three brothers. They're all there. So, and then my six nieces and nephews are there as well. Six because my kids in our family are lovingly referred to as siete y ocho, which is 7 and 8. Like my dad will just call them 7 and 8.
That's
Or
awesome.
he calls my daughter Shakira, even though that is not her name. It's Kira. And Rio, he was like, we went back and forth about Rio. And he's like, Rio, that's the Rio Grande. And I'm like, no, it's a name too. He's like, no, it's the river in Albuquerque. I'm like, yeah, but it's also a name. So, you know, those
We're
are
all going to
his
remember it now as the
grandkids.
river.
I know. I'm going to be taking him rafting down that river a lot when he grows up.
It's awesome, man. Rio, that's where Brazil was too, right? In Rio. So
Yeah, yeah. We
you
didn't
did
name him
not
after
name him
that
after
city.
Rio de Janeiro.
But I do have like a lot of like they give us these shirts when we go cover Olympics, and like I have a ton of them that say Rio on them. So when he grows up, I'm gonna just be wearing his name, and he's gonna be like, "Dude, Dad, what are you doing? You're embarrassing me." And I'm like, "I'm proud of you, Hito. I'm proud." You know, so we'll see.
Not too much green chili in Paris, I imagine, huh?
No, and that's what they need. They need like a baguette with some green chili. Could you imagine? That's like $1 billion idea. So if any New Mexicans want to move here, start that up. We should get free green chili baguettes for life.
You show up
That's some
with that New
stuff.
Mexico flag, you're going to get it.
They'll call it the grammar.
Yeah. Appreciate you, man. This has been fun. Good luck. And are you there till the end? You're there through the closing ceremonies?
I think I might be able to get out one day before the crush that leaves.
Yeah.
Um, so I think I'm out the 10th. When's closing's 10th?
Sounds right.
Yeah,
Put it
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Um, but you get a couple days off, I guess, to go do load up on dad duty and
Yeah, I'll get the weekends, and then I think we have to head straight back into work because apparently things have been going pretty wild, and in the United States, like I've been getting all the news updates on how crazy the news is. So it's weird to watch it in the middle of the night here, but yeah, we'll be jumping back into the news right away.
Gotti, you're the best, man. I appreciate it. It's been a long time since we talked, but so I appreciate it on a personal level, but also for sharing all this with our viewers, our listeners, our watchers, whatever readers, whatever it is in this modern newspaper world. So appreciate you, man, and thanks for coming on.
All right, talk to you soon, brother. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, there you go. My conversation with Gadi Schwartz. Hope you enjoyed that. Fun time talking with Gadi and catching up with Gadi while he's in Paris. working for NBC Sports. He is a correspondent with NBC News, of course, and used to work at KOB. Cibola High graduate here in Albuquerque, New Mexico State University journalism graduate. He's a good guy. He's a good friend of mine for a long time, and just living, like I said, living the life, getting to cover the Olympics. These are his 5th Olympics, I believe, that he's covered. Just casually co-workers now with people like Mike Tirico, Kelly Clarkson, Snoop Dogg, all the other people there covering the Olympic Games. He's a fun guy to talk to, fun guy to catch up with, and very personable. And I appreciate him for sharing his time, sharing his story with us and with you. I already have next week's podcast recorded. We are going to wait a week for that, but I do think we'll get back into the college basketball or maybe and beyond a little bit. I guess I should say basketball. And there are some Lobo connections to this. There are some NBA connections to this. There are some much beyond the court, beyond the game of any sport, really kind of connections to this that I think people will really like and really appreciate with next week's show. Again, it's already recorded, and for now, thanks for watching this episode 88 of the Talking Grammar podcast. If you can, support local journalism. Keep bringing these podcasts and all our coverage that's in print and digital online to you by going to abqjournal.com/subscribe. That is how you can help if you subscribe either digitally or print. It helps us bring you all these stories, helps us bring not only these podcasts, but all the great high school coverage that we got going. About to pick up again. Practices are starting around New Mexico. College football has already started practices. Sean Ryder is already in deep covering the first year of Bronco Mendenhall and UNM Lobo football. I've had plenty of UNM Lobo basketball updates throughout the summer, and there will be more, I'm sure, coming in the next few weeks. So it's been a busy summer for the off season, if you will, of college and high school sports in a town like Albuquerque. But it's been fun. A lot has been going on. So abqjournal.com is where you can find all our coverage. abqjournal.com/subscribe is where you can really help with local journalism to cover all this stuff. And do what you can. Subscribe digitally, print, both if you'd like. And for now, I'm glad you're watching or listening to this podcast. And until next time, thanks for watching.